The Guild is Maximum Lawyers' community of legal entrepreneurs who are taking their businesses and lives to the next level. As a Guild member, you'll build relationships, be held accountable, and learn strategies specifically designed to get you unstuck and accelerate your plan for growth. Members are also granted exclusive access to masterminds hosted around the country. Our next event is coming up, and we're heading to Scottsdale, Arizona. There's something truly magical about the power of these in-person connections where real-time breakthroughs happen. Picture this. You're surrounded by like-minded law firm owners tackling your business and mindset challenges together. The energy is electric, the insights are transformative, and the results are game-changing. Investing in yourself is the best decision you'll ever make. The knowledge, strategies, and breakthroughs you'll gain are priceless assets that will supercharge your practice and propel you forward. Join the Guild and secure your ticket to Scottsdale at the best possible price by visiting maxlawevents.com.
Run your law firm the right way. This is the Maximum Lawyer Podcast. Your hosts, Jim Hacking and Tyson Mutrux. Let's partner up and maximize your firm. Welcome to the show.
Welcome back to the Maximum Lawyer Podcast. I'm Jim Hacking.
And I'm Tyson Mutrux. What's up, Jimmy?
How you doing, homie? It's good to see you. I'm excited to shoot an episode. We haven't done one with just you and I in quite some time, and we are just fresh off our Maximum Lawyer Leadership Team retreat, in which I thought we had a fantastic meeting, cleared a lot of stuff out, cleared the air on some things, got us moving in the right direction. I can't recommend enough for anyone who owns a law firm, which is probably the people listening to this podcast, that you absolutely have to schedule quarterly offsites. There's just no substitute for it.
Yeah, I thought it was great. I thought we had some really great breakthroughs. It was really, really good. And I can't echo what you said enough, because when we started doing our quarterly, we don't do them offsite. I know you do them offsite. We do our quarterly meetings, and it really does get us refocused on what we should be doing. And then we develop our new rocks. Super, super important. That's how you demonstrate, and that's how you get progress, right? Is by having those meetings. So a lot of fun. I enjoyed it. It was fun, right? I mean, I enjoyed that time too. It wasn't like it was just, oh my gosh, I'm in meetings all day. It was really enjoyable.
Well, and I began by apologizing to you and Becca because I've gotten in this nasty little habit of canceling things or backing out of stuff. And, I thought about it afterwards. I didn't tell you this, but I'm not really used to having a partner where I can't do what I want, right? Like with Amani, she's my wife, right? So if we have to, usually if we're canceling something, we're canceling it together, but usually I just sort of do what I want, and I'm not used to having to think about the other people. And you had said something like, well, remember our time's important too, right? And I even can remember the tone of your voice. You said something like, it is extremely frustrating to have to reschedule things. And so now I'm hyper cognizant of that. And I came back this weekend and I mapped out my entire month of September for Max Law stuff. So
very good. Well, it's funny. I mean, you and I are in the same boat, right? So we can pretty much do whatever we want, but I'm very structured in my calendar. You know what I mean? So it's funny. I've done that to other people. And so I've experienced kind of on the other end of it too. So I completely get it. It was fun. It was good to go. It was, just so people know, there was no like blowout fight or anything like that. I would make sure people know, but it was a very friendly conversation. It wasn't, just so people are very, very clear about that.
Yeah, but it does clear the air, like using that time to, like, I knew going in that I wanted to apologize for that, and just clearing the air. And you said that we got clarity on what our rocks are, which is really, really good. But also I think the value for us in those quarterlies are the things that we decide to stop doing at those. That's how we've made some pretty big changes, most notably, putting an end to the annual conference and stopping coaching, direct one-on-one coaching, and focusing more on the guild. So, I love talking to my team about what should we stop doing. It is literally one of my favorite questions.
And I'll be honest with you, we don't do enough of that in our meetings, and I want to do more of that. I need to bring in Jim Hacking for our quarterly meetings and have him run them so we can get rid of some shit.
Oh, that'd be fun. I would like that.
Fun. That would be a lot of fun. But yeah, that's, you're right though. Getting rid of stuff is good. It's always good. Cleaning house.
So you wanted to talk about a major accomplishment that you and Amy both completed in the last 2 weeks. And, Gary Vee always talks about documenting the journey. And I think so much of what we've done and where our values come from is just, people going back and listening to where we were 6 years ago and where we are now. Our best content, I think, is spur of the moment, where we are, what we did, what's different, what's working, what's not working. And so I'm excited to talk about this topic, and I'll let you, since you're the one who achieved it, explain to the listeners what it is that we're talking about.
Yeah, and you are in the middle of it, right? So let's be clear about that. So you're on your way, and you're going to knock this out too. I think the title of this, you wanted to name the last episode. I think this one, it should be Jim and Tyson do 75 hard. That's what it should be. And we finished ours 11 days ago. I know exactly what it is because we are in day 11 of phase 1 at the moment, which is an elevated version of 75 hard. And so we finished it on a Friday. That was our last day. And then so Saturday, you would think, oh, you're going to have this big blowout. No, didn't do that. We went straight into phase 1. It was a lot of fun. And I was encouraged by Christopher Nicolason doing it, Paul Yokobitis doing it. There's other people that have done it in the guild. But it was one of those things that you see it and you're like, I don't know if I can do it. It's like, I don't know if I can stick to that for 75 days. And just so people know, here's what it is. And I want to make sure I don't mix it up with the phase 1 stuff. You've got to do 2 workouts. One of them has to be outdoors. No matter what the weather is, you've got to get one done outdoors. You have to drink a gallon of water, which we can go into each one of these in more detail in a moment, Jim. But drink a gallon of water. You have to read 10 pages. That means you can not listen to an audiobook. You need to read 10 pages. No cheat meals. You have to stick to a diet, which we were very strict when it comes to our vegan diet. Amy was a little bit more loose with it prior to 75 hard, but for 75 hard, very strict when it comes to it. And the last one is, no alcohol. That was the last one. Am I missing? I'm not missing anything, am I, Jim? I always have to look at my app to make sure I'm not missing one.
You have to take a progress picture every day.
Progress pic, yes.
The workouts have to be for 45 minutes each. And you said no cheat meals or alcohol.
Yep. There you go. So
let's focus on yours for a while, and then we can talk about mine maybe after the break and the mid-roll.
Sure.
What was the hardest of all those for you?
The hardest for all of them, man. Well, I thought it was going to be drinking the gallon of water. That's what I thought it was going to be. And that is one of the easiest ones to do other than having to get up in the middle of the night. I would say probably, I'm looking at all of these because it's weird. At different times, some were harder than others. And that was because going in, I would think it'd be one thing. And so I think overall, it's probably getting in the 2 workouts just with the kids in schedules and everything. I'd say that's probably logistically the most difficult. The actual most difficult, I guess no cheat meals. We were, part of our diet is we added on no eating after 8 p.m. And there were times where we had developed a really bad habit of eating after 8 o'clock, really bad habit, and not always good food. And let me add another thing. We added this may sound like it goes into no cheat meals, but we added no desserts. We just want to make sure we didn't cheat at all. So no desserts and no eating after 8 p.m. And we went through birthday parties, couldn't eat the cake. There were times where you barely get your meal in before 8 o'clock. There was, because of schedules with kids and everything and going to classes and going to practices and all that. And so we'd get home at 7:45 and have to cram a meal down right before 8 o'clock. That part was really, really challenging. So maybe it was the sticking to the diet. It was because of the restrictions we'd put on ourselves.
I'm particularly interested in a topic that you haven't mentioned yet, and that is that longtime listeners and members of the guild know your affinity for bourbon. And we've had a couple conversations about the alcohol part, which of course for me is easy because I haven't had a drink in 25 years. So that's like bonus time for me. So talk to me about that part of the process. I
wasn't worried about this part of it, but my transformation is what has surprised me. Is Amy and I have been having a lot of conversations about the possibility of just removing alcohol from our lives completely, and I don't know if that will happen. It might happen. I've only had 2 times during the entire 75 days and actually 86 days now. In the entire 86 days, I've had 2 times where I wanted a drink. One was, it was the weirdest time. Amy and I were sitting down at lunch, and we were at Murray's, we were having lunch, and we sat down at the bar because that was all that was available. And it was like, oh, I'd really like to have a drink. It was just like a random in the middle of it was lunchtime, right? It was a weird. And then the other time was, I came home. It was a rough day. I went downstairs in the basement, and I was like, oh, it'd be really nice to have a glass of bourbon right now. There's twice, right? Just the 2 times. But during this, I think this is a really, really important part of this. Christopher Nicolaisan had sent me the book Finding Ultra by Rich Roll, and I was reading through that, and he was talking about his dependence on alcohol and his recovery from that. And then that was a part of the book. It was telling his story, but then the rest of the book was really about talking about him improving his body, improving his fitness, talking about putting the things in the things that matter into your body. And that really changed my view quite a bit on how to view the things we put into our bodies. And I think what we'll probably end up doing is getting rid of the majority of our alcohol, keeping the really, really good bottles and maybe saving those for key events. But we'd also talked about what you do is we're just going to not plan to drink, because we would on Thursdays or our date nights, and we would kind of plan to go drink, and we're no longer going to do that. What we're going to do is if we happen to want to drink at some point after phase 1's done, we'll have it, but we're not going to plan to go drink. We're not going to, plan to go to a barbecue and have drinks. We're not going to plan to go to a New Year's Eve party and drink. That's not where we're not going to plan to do those things. We're just going to do those things if we happen to want to at the time.
What have you learned about yourself going through 75 Hard, and how, if at all, has it affected how you run your firm or live your life?
I've learned that I can do way more in a day than I thought I could. And that's saying quite a bit. That is saying a ton as someone who does like to work. I'm of the Ryan McKean school of, I like building things, and I think working is completely fine. There is, as long as it's something you enjoy doing and it's not something that stresses you out all the time. So I've been surprised by that. And then the last part of the question was, say that again.
Yeah. How did it affect how you live your daily life or run your firm?
Oh, I would say I'm more focused on me, which is important. This is all in combination with other things I'm doing too. So Jason Selk is coaching me, and I went through those questions with you about treating your body like a race car, and I've been more focused on my health, my body, and the whole. Just so everyone knows, here's what I'm talking about. Jason asked these questions where, okay, if you were to buy, if you asked about what your dream sports car is or dream car, and then, okay, what if you had to put your family in that? Okay, what if you had to race that car for a living? Mm-hmm. How would you maintain that vehicle? Okay, and the point is you are that vehicle, and how would you should be taking care of yourself, and you should be treating yourself like that race car that races every single day for a living, because that's what's most important, is making sure that you're healthy and that you can take care of your family. So I've been more focused on my health. That's a big part of it. Been more focused on me. I know my stress levels come down quite a bit. And then the firm part of it, I don't think much has changed when it comes to actually managing the firm. I think that that's been fairly consistent. I mean, maybe I could ask my employees and they'll tell me something different, but I think I've been pretty consistent with that.
And last question, how has it been working through it with Amy together? Because Amani is trying to do her own modified version of 75 Hard. We aren't really doing it together. And I know that you two, I was very happy to see how you ended. So maybe you could talk about working it through with Amy and then sort of what happened on the last night.
Yeah, that last night was cool. It was really fun. I'm not sure I could have done it without Amy. I just don't know if I could have. That is really, really tough, because you're talking about a huge time commitment of these things and moving, like really balancing your schedules out. For example, this is in phase 1. This is after we've already completed 75 Hard. But the other night, Emma and Jackson were away, and Hudson was with us, and we still had to get our outdoor workouts in. And so we had to take turns, and this was like at nighttime, and because we didn't want to leave Hudson alone by himself, we had to take turns going to do our workouts. So you have to do things like that where you're trading off and things like that, where you got to do that. But the bonding part of it, I think maybe my favorite part of the entire thing is just how our relationship has improved because we did it together. And the number of great conversations that we had was just amazing over 75 days. It was really, really cool. That part was really neat. And watching each other grow has been fun. And it's funny because you look at your spouse, right? And you think, and they like in your mind, they kind of don't change whenever you're looking at them. And over like 75 days, but then she showed me her progress pics of like day 1 versus day 75. Incredible. I mean, just absolutely incredible, the difference. And then, but it's cool watching that person like really achieve, and do really, really good things. It's so much fun. A lot of fun. The last day though, but the last day because we had been talking about how it was this is on the last day. We were talking about how during a workout, we had like no rain, none. And by the way, there were no clouds in the sky. it was nighttime, but it was like it was supposed to rain. We were talking about how we had really good weather and we were surprised that we'd never been rained on. We had a couple sprinkles, but not been rained on. And no less than 15 minutes later, it was just a downpour on us. And so we were just laughing. It was just hilarious. And we enjoyed it because we got the downpour on us on the last night. We took a picture of ourselves after it rained on us. It was a lot of fun. It was cool. It was a perfect way of ending 75 hard. Couldn't have asked for a better ending.
Running your own practice can be scary, whether you're worried about where the next case will come from, feeling like you're losing control over your growing firm, or frustrated from being out of touch with everyone working under your license. The stress can be overwhelming. We will show you how to turn that fear into a driving force of clarity, focus, stability, and confidence that eliminates the roller coaster of guilt-ridden second-guessing and mistake-making to get you off that hamster wheel for good.
Maximum Lawyer in Minimum Time is a step-by-step playbook that shows you how to identify what your firm needs and how to proactively get it at every stage of the game so you're prepped and excited for the inevitable growth that will follow. Name the lifestyle that you want and we'll show you how to become a Maximum Lawyer in Minimum Time. Find out more by going to MaximumLawyer.com/course.
You're listening to the Maximum Lawyer Podcast. Today it's just Jim and Tyson. We're talking about Tyson's awesome achievement of completing 75 hard, and I am on day 23. So now we're going to spend a little bit of time talking about that.
Yes. So you were very, very cautious about announcing you were going to do it. And let's talk about why that was.
That was because I've had so many attempts and failures in the past that just haven't worked. And so I was just sort of reluctant, and it was defeatist thinking. Andy Frisella, I believe, is an acquired taste. He's the one who came up with 75 hard. And I don't really do well with macho dudes or, alpha males. Like even Jason Selk, that I was sort of reluctant to dive into his world. And I had gone to see a weight loss coach last year, a guy named Charles D'Angelo, and he gave me a pretty strict diet that I did for about 8 or 9 days. And then I did one little cheat. And that was sort of the beginning of the end, right? So to me, one of the great benefits of it is if you forget to do any of these things that you mentioned earlier, or if you have one little cheat, then you've got to start all over. So, eventually there's a tipping point where I'm on day 23 now. Like, do I want to lose my 23 days of clean, abstinent eating in order to have this bite of something? I'm not even having those struggles right now. I'm on a totally different plane. But that's how I sort of had to start. Even after the first day, I was like, I got one under my belt. I don't want to have to start all over. And so that's been really helpful.
This is a good segue into one of the questions I want to ask you. We didn't really get into it in my part of it, but I want you to talk about, you're talking about you're sort of at a different level, right? Talk about the mental clarity that you develop through this.
Well, I think first we have to talk, I will do that. I think we have to talk about my eating. Like I've already lost a lot of weight doing this so far, and it's because I eat a lot when I'm not on the program. So what I'm envisioning is that I'm going to do this, try to live my life like this forever. I don't know if I'm going to go do those 75 hard plus or whatever, or 75 hard plus
phase
elite
1
or whatever it is that you're doing. Right. So, but what I'm thinking is that I look at the 12-week year And because I think I need to build in some rest. Not that I'm going to go pig out for 2 weeks in between, but that my body needs to rest and my mind needs to rest, because this does take a lot of mental energy. Now, for me, I've been spending a lot of that mental energy on, ooh, where can I get some tacos, or ooh, where are the Doritos, right? So I've shifted that mental energy. But the thing that surprised me the most so far is my mindset and my mind, because the 10 pages of reading are like inspirational things or, self-development stuff. So reading those things in the morning. So I start my day at Lifetime Fitness on the treadmill, and I read on my phone while I walk. So that gets my mind and my day off to a great start. So I'm shocked by how clear-headed I am, how many great ideas I'm having. It's sort of like gym on steroids. I sat down with Amani and told her all the things I want to fix in the firm. It took an hour and a half, and I had like 5 ideas per department. So I don't know if that's a good thing or not, but I'm definitely operating on a whole different cylinder.
Just wait till you're going to do phase 1. You can take a break between 75 hard and phase 1, that you can take as long of a break as you want, just so people know. I'm going to take a quick just side step here. What you do is 75 hard, phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. You can take a break between 75 hard and phase 1, or you can go straight into it. Between phase 1 and phase 2, you have to take at least a 30-day break. And between 2 and 3, phase 2 and 3, you have to take a 30-day break. So there are those breaks that are built in. So just so you know. But when you do the visualization part of it in phase 1, so it's 10 minutes of visualization. It's really cool, because what you're just wait for the ideas that you get during that, Jimbo. It's just really cool. It's an even higher level. But let's talk about that weight loss part of it. This is something that you've been dealing with for quite some time now. I want to go back to this. Have you started to plateau? Are you still consistently losing weight? How is that going for you?
Today's day 23 and I've lost over 25 pounds. So the first week was the most, but it's still, if I lose 50 pounds when we're done, I'll be a very happy person. But yeah, it's still going down. There's a little bit of a rotation to it, but it's like stay the same, drop a pound and a half, stay the same, drop a pound. And so, I'm eating at the level of somebody who's much thinner than I am. That's really what's happening. So, and the 2 exercises, I think I told you before that one of the times I really struggled was around 3 or 4 o'clock. And that was probably because I was eating a carb lunch, and then I was having a drop in my energy level, and then I would reach for more carbs. But having that second exercise at 4 really sort of clears the decks for the evening. And there's an app that you can get that goes along with it. And just like, making sure that I go day to day and say, oh, look at the days I had before, I don't want to screw that up. Using the app, and for me, being a quick start, starting early, I already have for today my first workout done, my progress pick, and my 10 pages of reading, and I'm just about 3/4 of the way through my gallon of water. So that's just sort of operate, and having the routine's been really helpful.
Yeah, I definitely like getting the stuff knocked out early on, because but it's funny, if you get it done early on, you feel like a champion by nighttime, right? You're like, oh yes, I got this. It's such a good feeling. But there have been the nights where this, it's especially near the end where I was, having to do it late at night. I mean, we were past midnight a couple of times. The rule is, for people to know, you have to, as long as you get it done before you go to bed. Okay, so it's not like you got to be done by midnight, as long as you can do it before you go to bed. So that was a struggle at least one night. So you mentioned Amani, so I'm going to ask you the relationship part of it too. You all are not necessarily doing it together, but you're doing it at the same time. How is that the interaction between you and Amani been throughout this?
Well, that's funny that you ask, because just so everybody knows, when I was in law school, I lost 130 pounds in 13 months. So I lost 10 pounds a month for 13 months. And so I did that all by walking. So I'm doing this whole thing walking. In the morning when I walk, it's on a 7 pitch on the treadmill at 3.5, and I sweat and I'm breathing pretty hard. It's great. And then in the afternoon, it's just a 45-minute walk. It's so damn hot that I'm sweating again for that too. So that's it for exercise for me, because I'm focused on weight loss. I think when I do this next time, it'll be half, sweat and half weights and stuff. And I'll probably even gain a little weight or some strength and stuff. But as far as Amani and I, we are, that second walk I'm doing with her most days. So that's been good. And that's really led to some clarity about what we want to do with family stuff. with firm stuff. She brings her phone and she dictates notes while we're going, and it's been great.
It's funny, I wouldn't call it an impromptu business meeting, but it's really cool how deep you can go with some of those things. And I don't know about you, but we have had a ton of ideas develop through those.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And in Traction, they call them same page meetings. And Amani and I had sort of a blowout fight in front of the staff, disagreement about one little aspect, but it was not, I'll just tell you right now, she and I have agreed to come up with a code of conduct, how we handle ourselves in front of the team. But one of the reasons that happened was because we hadn't had our same page meeting over the weekend or on Friday. So we weren't on the same page when we went in front of the team. And so we did that. When I mentioned, we talked everything through at North softball game on Sunday for an hour and a half, where I just told her all my ideas. We walked in together. We were on the exact same team, on the exact same plan. She knew exactly where I was coming from. Now I had 3 more ideas since Sunday to Monday.
Shocker.
But they were all within the realm of the things that we talked about. So it was just clarification stuff. So yeah, it's good.
We're almost out of time, but I want to ask you this question. You've got 52 days, I think, because you're on day 23. Is that right?
I'm not figuring out when the last day is. I'm not. Okay, I'm going as long as I can without figuring that out.
Sure. It doesn't matter what the number of days, right? What are your fears when it comes to going forward?
Oh, I'm going to get very anxious as we get to like day 65, day 70, because, I'm reading James Clear, Atomic Habits. I'm rereading it. One of the things I'm really trying to focus on right now is granularity, like going deeper into the things that I think I know, as opposed to superficially just feeding myself with lots of books and ideas and stuff. So this is the 3rd time for Atomic Habits for me. And one of the things he talks about is, you can do all this stuff that we're doing in 75 Hard, but if you don't change the mindset, if you don't change your image of yourself through your habits, and like, I'm worried that I'm going to have anxiety because I've been on diets before. I've lost over 100 pounds before in my life. So as we get closer, I'll probably get a little bit more anxious and a little tighter. I'll also be a little bit anxious because I won't want to screw up and forget to take my profile pic or something. But yeah, so I there's definitely fear that I'm going to have to work through as we get closer to the end about how I merge this into my new life. But I'm really trying to view it as a new life. Each day after I do my first workout, I'm also journaling for 10, 15 minutes. And so that I'm really trying to be honest with myself about those fears.
I love it. Yeah, you've got this, man. It's no question. You got this. All right, so let's wrap things up because I do have a meeting in a minute, but we'll probably go a little bit over. I'm going to wrap things up, and I want to remind everyone, join us in the big Facebook group if you've not already. And then if you want a more high-level conversation, join us in the guild. Go to maxlawguild.com. I think just this week alone, Jim, I'm just so proud of the members and the Guildians in the group. It's just so awesome seeing the things that they're doing. And then while you're listening to the rest of this episode with our tips and our hacks, please give us a 5-star review. We would greatly appreciate it. Jimmy, what's your hack of the week?
Oh, you were really jealous of my hack, which I shared with you yesterday. You were asking me, why do you send out emails? What would you call them? My signature emails or my weekly emails? Why do you send those out from your personal email address? And I said, we had just made a new email persona. My regular email address is Jim @ and we changed it to James @ and I'm going to build a whole persona about James @ James @ is going to have his own WhatsApp number so that people can text me. James @ is going to have his own cell phone number so that people think they're talking to me and have access to me. And then obviously other people are going to be sorting through those reply emails and then following up with any leads. So I'm really excited about that. I think it's going to work well. And that's my hack of the week.
I love it. And I'm totally ripping it off. I told you that. You just said I just couldn't use it as my tip. So that's good. So I finished during 75 Hard. Actually, I finished this one during phase 1. Story Worthy. It's by Matthew Dix. He's a 36-time Moth Story Slam champion, and it's about storytelling, and it's really, really cool. I've learned a lot of little tidbits about telling stories and about how I've been doing a bad job of telling stories. And so I really, really recommend it. It's a great book. He tells a bunch of stories in the book. Go figure, right? And he does a really good job of telling you how to tell stories. So really good. So I highly recommend it. Jimmy, I gotta say, this has been one of my favorite episodes. So I really enjoy it. I love asking you questions. I like you asking me questions. So a lot of fun.
This might be a good format for us moving forward where like we talk about an issue, you talk about, I interview you for 15 and you interview me. I like that. I thought it had a good flow to it.
Me too. Let's do it. We can do like kind of like PTI where they have the clock and we get half the time. We can do something like that. It's cool.
All right, brother.
See you, brother. See you, buddy.
See you.
Thanks for listening to the Maximum Lawyer Podcast. To stay in contact with your hosts and to access more content, go to MaximumLawyer.com. Have a great week and catch you next time.